Hi, I'm Jill Gage, custodian of the John M. Wing Foundation on the History of Printing and bibliographer for British Literature and History at the Newberry Library. Today, I'm so pleased to be able to be talking to you about Kelmscott Press and Kelmscott Press materials at the Newberry. So let's jump into it. The Kelmscott Press and William Morris have been part of the John M. Wing Foundation on the History of Printing since almost its inception in 1919. The Wing collection was founded through a bequest from John Mansfield Wing, a Chicago printer and publisher who was contemporaneous with Morris and his collaborators. Like Morris, Wing believed that well-made books were a thing of the past, and he disdained cheaply made 19th century publications, although those were exactly the thing that made his fortune. He still hated them. Wing envisioned the Newberry as a library that could and should build a great bibliographical collection, what he termed a great bibliographical collection. The first curator of the collection, Pierce Butler, believed that bibliographical collection meant incunables. So he set about trying to collect a sample of a book from every printer working in the 15th century, exactly the kind of thing that Morris may have loved. William Morris was, of course, also very interested in incunables, and he owned many of them. The Newberry does, in fact, have a couple incunables owned by Morris, including this 1483 edition of John of Hildesheim's Story of the Three Kings. And although it does look very different from Morris's work, nobody would confuse this for a Kelmscott Press book. You can definitely see the influence. For example, the style and placement of the woodcut illustrations, the decorated initials that we see on each page, and of course, the typeface. And here we have a page from the book, as well as Morris's inscription, William Morris, Kelmscott House, Hammersmith, 1890, and then the book label. And I have to say, I hold and see a lot of incunables as part of my job, and it nevertheless gives me great pleasure to hold a book owned by William Morris and to be able to think about its influence on him and his work. Although Pierce Butler was primarily interested in incunables, he also occasionally bought other books that he considered important, or when he simply couldn't find incunables to buy. And in 1921, he bought the entire run of the Kelmscott Press. I think this was partially because he did consider them an important set of books, but there was also that link between Morris's work and incunables. And I will go back and just point out that 2021 is the centenary of our acquisition of our run of Kelmscott Press books. From its inception, the Wing collection was intended as a resource for working printers and designers. So it's easy to see why the Kelmscott books would have appealed to Butler. Printers in Chicago could come in, they could hold and look at the Kelmscott Press books next to incunables. They could see where Morris took his references from, where he diverged from older books, how he crafted it. It's important that they could see and hold these books. The four subsequent curators of the Wing collection have expanded the collection in much different ways from Butler, but we've all been interested in processes. We're not just interested in the finished product, a beautiful book, although we are interested in that, but we're also interested in how books get made and in the people who make them. And because none of us has needed to buy any Kelmscott books, thanks to Mr. Butler, over the last 100 years, we've acquired some fascinating material associated with the press, including proofs and drawings. What I'd like to focus on for the remainder of my short talk today is a series of proofs of drawings for the Kelmscott Chaucer. In many ways, I think the Kelmscott Press Chaucer needs no introduction, but still, Published in 1896, the Chaucer is clearly the great achievement of the press, a collaboration between Morris and others, including his friend Edward Burne-Jones, the Victorian painter. Burne-Jones believed the book was of such great design that when finished, it would be what he called a pocket cathedral, although honestly, I think one would rather need a very large pocket to hold the book because it's very big and heavy. While Burne-Jones drew 87 illustrations for the Chaucer, his delicate pencil drawings were inappropriate for the heavy-looking medieval type drawings that woodcuts that Morris wanted. So a young artist, Robert Catterson Smith, was hired to assist in the preparation of Burne-Jones's drawings for the Chaucer, and the artist Charles Fairfax Murray, also helped with this. Burne-Jones's sketches were redrawn in ink and then photographed by the engraver, artist, and printer Emery Walker's firm. These modified drawings were marked up by Burne-Jones with white ink, and eventually the modified drawings were transferred to woodcuts and engraved by William Harcourt Hooper. So here we have two of them, and this over here, you can see pretty clearly the white ink that he's used. There's actually a lot more white ink on this one on the tree. It's very hard to see it in this photograph though. So the Newberry owns 9 proofs of these drawings. That is, we have the photographs of drawings touched up in white ink by Burne-Jones, making them a wonderful example of the Chaucer illustrations in what one might call an intermediate form. The illustrations include those 4 tales by the man of law. Oops, and this one here, for example, is actually, this is from the Knight's Tale. Here we see it in a frame, so page 15, it tells you what page it's on, and it's signed to G.S. Ellis from Charles Fairfax Murray. But we have illustrations including those for the Man of Law, the Knight, the Wife of Bath, which we see here, and the Clerk. It's wonderful to be able to look at these proofs next to the book itself. So here I've just laid the proof drawing on top of the page next to the corresponding page in the book. And I'm sorry for the photograph, it came out rather dark. There's a lot of ink on these pages. It's wonderful to be able to look at these proofs next to the book itself, to notice tiny differences, and also to realize how different the illustrations look when they're removed from their Kelmscottian frame, so to speak. So it's not just the drawing that makes it, it's not just the illustration that makes it a Kelmscott illustration, it's the drawing, it's the frame, it's the woodcut initial, it's the type. All of those things come together to make such an iconic book. And in some ways, when you just look at the book, those things mesh together so perfectly that you can't think about them existing outside one another. So it's great fun then to look at the proofs of the drawings and realize that they do. And really, it's the feat was putting those things together. What's most interesting to me, though, and I'll end with this, is Morris's use of technology in creating the book. In crafting this ultimate fine press book, this pinnacle of a book made by hand, Morris was dependent upon new technologies, specifically photography here, to perfect the work and to make it look the way that he wanted. And certainly in the 15th century, printers did not have photography to rely on to make their books look that way. So I'm really fascinated by that. And although this new technology is certainly invisible to the readers then and now, so when you look at the book, you don't think, oh, that drawing was perfected through the use of technology and transferred to a woodblock. You just look at it and you see the illustration, and it seems so integral to the book itself. But technology was nevertheless an important process of it. And this looking forward, looking to new technology in order to look back and to make books that looked old, is for me what makes Morris and the Kelmscott Press so interesting and so integral and important for the Wing collection. And I think that's what would have fascinated readers and printers and artists in 1921 when we got the book, and it certainly is what makes it interesting to me in 2021 when we continue to use the book. The Kelmscott Press Chaucer is probably one of the most requested books at the Newberry. People ask me about it all the time. They want to see it. They love to handle it. And I really, really love to show these ancillary materials with it because I think it makes that experience of looking at the book so much more interesting, so much more fun. And it really is sort of what the Wing collection strives to do in a nutshell. So I invite you to come look at our many, many Kelmscott Press materials at the Newberry Library and to engage with these beautifully crafted and iconic books for yourself. Please visit our website at www.newberry.org to learn more. Thank you so much.